Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have another PCM repair or test, sorry. This is a 2003 Ford Harley Davidson Edition for F-150. Gus from Florida, this is your computer. He actually, due to his concern, I asked him to send me the cluster, his key, and the computer. I normally just get the computer, but in this case, he has been contacting me for a while. So I guess they keep trying to correct the issue, and that probably has now has more problems. So let me just get you over to the screen so we can see his notes. I have already removed his information so we can just see his name. All right, so there you can see the connection. That again is his cluster key. I actually want to show you something too, because Gus sent me this with the cluster. This is the printable display. You don't need to send this with the cluster. This has two tabs. It's very easy to remove. All you need to do is push on these two tabs and that will come out, and you don't even need to remove it from the car. All you need to do is disconnect this and that stays in the vehicle, because these are hard to get and they're easy to break. So I will have to, he packed this really well, but I'm going to do the same when it goes back. So it's always, I mean, that's what insurance are for, right? So hopefully it doesn't happen, but just so you know, you don't need to send this with the cluster. All right, in the screen we have his note, Gus Didonis from Orlando, Florida. He says spark plug signal, fuel injection signal, and theft light on. Spark plug signal, fuel injection signal. So I guess he's probably talking about no spark, no injection, which is weird because it should give, no matter what, one the spark plugs. So the coils are always fired even if the theft light is on. So let's see if we have communication, and this is why I asked him to send me the cluster, because if the cluster is not present due to, you know, shorted or something, that can bring down the computer because it's the SPC or SPC communication. All right, so it's raining really hard here. I was going to drop a box into UPS and I'm waiting for the storm to go away. Lately it's such a crazy weather. It's been so hot and now it's raining cats and dogs. All right, so let me get you here. I'm going to put the SUS and the full probe, which I have ready. The computer is off, so remember, now on the full probe, you can see the meter on the upper meters. The left one is the battery voltage. We can read right now 14.2, 14.1, and now the sensor is reading 0.3 because the computer is off. Even though the terminal 15 is on the full probe, nothing else is on. So I'm going to power on, and you're going to see it on the cluster as well. Let's see if the theft light goes off or not. Okay, it did. These are his mileage, 236,528. So that's a good sign. So the cluster is now communicating. We got no theft light. So let's go over to the scanner and let's try to read the computer. To make sure we can read the bin, I have the bin number here. The last digit should be KB, K as in kilo, right? B as in brown, 97631. So Ford, let's do an automatic ID. It should is 2003. Okay, KB 97631, that is correct. Let's enter the engine computer. In this case, it's both in the same. I don't know why Ford does. Sometimes depends on the computer. You got engine and transmission separate, and this one is powertrain because both are in the same menu. All right, let's go over to codes. Let's see what we have in memory codes because it's very important. See if we have anything. Okay, we have nothing, but it's no theft or anti-theft situation going on. So this should at least fire the coils. I'm going to go, oh, I went over too much. So let me go over to data display, and I'm just going to pick up the RPMs. This is the test that I do for the long crank, no start. Because if the computer cannot see the RPM, obviously it's not going to fire anything. And that doesn't mean there's nothing wrong with the cluster. But he told me that before sending the whole thing. He called me. It's like, hey, Mike, now we have an anti-theft light blinking. I'm like, that is why I asked him to send me everything. But so far, Gus, your cluster is working good. It was working good. If you have any issues, it might be either the key reader, the coil in the instrument cluster, in the steering column. All right, so let me deselect. Let me make custom in here, deselect all. And all I'm going to select is the RPM, make it in a graph. So we now have a big graph of the RPM to see if we can see it on the cluster, but I want you to put it as a graph in there, so hopefully you can see it as well. All right, so let me go over to the full probe. I got the signal that I'm using is signal 51. This is very unique to full probe, and I'm going to now put around 400 RPMs. Well, we got absolutely no response. So yeah, this is definitely reproducing the customer concern. So we got absolutely no response from the computer. So yes, there will be no coils, no spark plugs, or injectors. Well, yes, because the computer cannot see the crankshaft position sensor signal. Even though I'm getting it 400 RPMs, you can see how the computer on the scanner, is 0 RPMs. And we can also see that here on the instrument cluster because this has a tachometer. The RPM gauge is in 0, not even moving. So I'm going to do one other test, which is in the high RPM. He cannot do that on the car. I can do that here. So we're going to go into 7. That's a signal that I use for the higher RPM test. And I start in 1000. Nothing. This is a completely dead analog to digital converter. I told him that this is most likely the analog to digital converter. It could even go up to the microprocessor. It all depends how far or how long this is happening. And this is a very common issue. I do have all the parts in the stock. If you have any Ford Lightnings, any Ford Harley Davidson edition like this ones, you are in the best hands, period. There is no other company that can repair these computers. They tried and they butchered your computer. I have them 3 computers that were previously attempted by other facilities as not repairable because I couldn't. They damaged so much the pads that I couldn't repair it. It was just impossible. So if you send this to me, you will be with no doubt the computer is 100% repairable unless you have a hole through the board or a rookie, a facility that doesn't know what it's doing, touching it. I'm most likely going to be able to repair 100%. All right, so if you're here, please subscribe to the channel. That will really help my small business. Every time you subscribe, YouTube promote more and more my videos, and that's how you find me here, and it's for free. So thank you so much if you do so. All right, so I'm going to perform the repair. They already have approved the repair as long as it's the computer. If it were to be any more, I have to contact. It's a little hard to say the cluster is perfect because we cannot run it, but the light is going out. We got no anti-theft fault codes, so I don't think that the cluster is giving us any problem to make the computer not run or also be a problem in the system. At least not so far, not the way this is acting. Again, you can see that we're reading mileage. That is very important. When the communication in between the computer and the cluster is there, you will have the mileage reading as far as the numbers. When you see dashes in there or nothing, that is a problem. That might most likely means that your microprocessor in the computer is probably down. Again, I can fix that. It's not a problem, but it's down. All right, so, or it's a problem with the cluster, internally, the communication, a circuit, which I have all parts in stock, but that is, again, even if I don't connect an instrument cluster, again, without being connected, the coil should fire unless the computer, like in this case, has a problem. All right, just trying to give you an understanding of how this system works and how you can test. If you see that you have no RPMs on the cluster, and you got no coils in that, go over to the computer, like in the scanner, like I'm doing in here, put the same thing, just a piece of the RPM, and cranking, nothing in there, send the computer. Most likely, I will say 99% of the time, that is the computer. All right, guys. So let me proceed with the repairs, and I'll be right back. All right, guys. So as I mentioned, well, he approved the repairs prior to come here. Now that I open the module, I see that somebody already was here, and this is where things can go south after a repair. Because the problem is, if I don't get that information when you send the module, and I start doing repairs, and now I have to warranty somebody else's touching this computer as well. And this is where it comes to a problem to me as well, because it can be a problem, So let me just show you how this looks. Now that's the computer. I have it ready. It is working. So, but I want to show you what I found. So these are the bolts that hold the board down into the actual heat sink, and you can see how this was already somebody here. Same thing on the other side, is completely broken the solder, which is not really a problem, and hopefully it's nothing that I cannot see here, and it will come to bite me later, because you can see the bolts here, like right in this corner, right here, and also on these areas. So the board was definitely removed. And also, if we see the other side, this capacitor was removed, and they left the whole garbage there. So I tried to clean it as best as I could. The capacitor is good. I tested it and it's good. But yeah, these are things that I cannot warranty, because somebody else was here. So this is where I always try to tell people, it's like, if you send me the cluster or the module, and somebody else already work, it could be a never-ending problem for me. And this is what sometimes is a problem. I just want to put this out there because, yes, luckily for the customer, this is good. So I got the SUS ready, the full probe ready. Let me get into the scanner to get to the accessories we need to see to put the RPM pit again. All right, so let me do a custom, deselect all, and just select the RPM. Put them in a graph mode as I have it before. All right, I'm going to turn the ignition on. Signal that I have is for the low RPMs is 51. And then let me give you 400 or so RPMs. And we can see injectors and coils now firing. They were not working at all. We can also see a nice and a steady signal or RPM. We can see that on the cluster as well. That needle is nice and steady. That is perfect. So this is definitely a good repair as far as this. What else could be there? I don't know exactly who touched this on or what they were doing in here for, So let me go over to the highest speed test, which is signal 7. Again, this is very unique to this setup that I have. And now I'm in a high RPM. I'm going to go down to like around 850 or so. And we can see, 4 coils and 4 injectors. 2 coils and 4 injectors in there. If I move you over to this capture, let me take the light out of here. Yes, you can see, if I bring this down, you can see all the loads in here. I got all the coils and all the injectors. Everything is working. The reason I put the full probe, and I like the full probe like this, is because it's a very easy to show you there with the screen capture, coils and injectors now working 100%. This is actually the customer, so let me stop the video and answer the call. All right, guys, now I got a little more of a story. And I forgot, because, this has been going on for almost a month before they sent the computer here. Now that I spoke with Gus, he told me and I remember now the story. So the customer is a very good friend of his. They got this truck from a dealer in Florida. And when he went to get the car was running. So he drove the car, everything was good. They left it running. And then when he when he paid everything, he went to, to his house, parked the car. And since then, the car never started again. So they have no idea who was on this computer or who were messing in. This is a completely new situation for Gus as well. So in that case, I feel a lot better, because this is not that somebody's hiding information from you. But still, I have repaired, like I said, all the junk, remove the board from the case because it was with silicone. The computers are not installed with silicone. Whoever tried to put silicone in a computer doesn't even know what it's doing. It's a thermal paste, and it's conductive paste and not conductive paste. So you have to know what you're doing. I fix broken pads underneath, There were shorting pads underneath because of the silicone in there. I mean, hello, you know what I mean? This is unbelievable. But I inspected it really good, and it's so far working good. As you see, it's running since I stopped the video. Probably I spoke with Gus for probably 15 minutes. And like I said, now I feel a lot better. All right, so let's do one last start. I'm going to turn this off. And let's go back to signal 51, which is the slow speed. All right, so I'm going to turn the ignition back on and start it. And we can see immediately injection and coils, which is, and look at that RPM signal, nice and straight. That is a perfectly working computer. So right, guys, so again, this makes me feel a lot better. Thank you so much, Gus, for trusting Mike Salazar Diagnostics. Now that I spoke to him and also tell me, there was another company in Florida trying to charge him less of what I did charge. And I tell him, and he's like, you know what, Mike, I saw your video, I see your work, and I trust you a lot better. These guys, they don't, they can tell me they can charge less, but you proved us that you know what you're doing with all these videos and everything that you show to everybody. And this is exactly what I've been trying to separate myself, my small business, with anyone else. There is nobody that shows the repairs, the tests before and after, where you can see, guys will be immediately putting all this back into the car, start and run, good to go. Like if you would have sent this cluster to somebody else, I guarantee you they would have charged, oh yeah, your cluster needs to be fixed. We need to charge this and charge that. I told Gus, if the cluster needs to be fixed, you will see it on the video, why it needs to be repaired. Not just because I say so. And the problem with most of the businesses around the world, not just these repairs, is that you have to trust blindly. I try to remove that blindness and show you that why it needs to be done. And with auto repairs, you can see the before, the after. Like with this repair, if you have a car like this that is long crank, no start, I'm your expert. I know what I'm doing. I will not destroy your board. I don't need to do any of the butchering that was done on this computer to repair it. I know exactly what I need to do. I have the parts. I got all original parts, and everything will be good. Everything has my warranty, which is on writing on the papers that I always, like when you go over to the website, if you click to download this form, that is all the information right there. All right, guys, thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye-bye.